Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Terry Talent Show. I'm Amber Masso. I'm the Director of Communications and Alumni Engagement for the Terry Foundation. So happy to be bringing you this group of talented Terrys this evening. It's also my pleasure to introduce Blaine Skiles to you. He'll be co-hosting with me this evening.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, like Amber said, my name is Blaine Skiles. I'm a 2012 Terry Scholar from the University of North Texas. I'm a journalist based in Dallas now, and I'm really excited to bring you these great talents that these Terry alumni are sharing tonight. The Alumni Advisory Board some weeks ago was thinking about how we can help facilitate some sense of community with fellow Terry Scholars during this crazy time, and that's how this idea was born. And I don't know how many watching were able to join us 2 weeks ago for our first talent show. I thought it was a really fun evening and was really just great for me. I think great for all the performers just to feel a little bit of connection and share a little bit of art during this crazy time. So we're really excited to be doing this again.
All right, and performers, we'll have you guys go around and just introduce yourselves really quick. So, Alan, why don't we start with you?
Hello, everybody. My name's Alan Turbeville. If you were here last week, you probably saw my twin brother, Nash. Same year, UNT 2011. My degree was actually in learning technologies and performance improvements. I got a specific study in music theory and actually music production as well, but that is neither here nor there. How much do you want to introduce right now? I can go into a rant, but
No,
that is everything about me.
no, yeah, I
Let's
think I think that's good. We'll have everybody go around and just say maybe your Terry year, Terry school, and what your major was, and then Blaine and I are going to have a chat with everybody individually before they perform. So,
awesome.
um, Eliana, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah. So I graduated 2019 UT Dallas with a bachelor's in psychology, traditional, and I'm currently working as a freelance artist.
Awesome. We're glad you could join us this evening. And
Thanks for having me.
Reyes?
Yo, everyone. Name's Reyes. Graduated from University of Houston, 2012. Studied creative writing and political science. Right now, I am a nonprofit arts administrator and writer. I write poetry, fiction, essays, all the good stuff. So happy to be here.
All right, awesome. We're glad to have you. All right, and Drew and Gerardo.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Torres. I'm a UTD 2016 transfer scholar, and I majored in neuroscience.
And I'm just a bandmate.
And what is your band called?
Los Loud Boys, boys with a Z. Um, Got to get that urban audience, you know what I mean? So I call it pandering, I call it good marketing.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you guys this evening. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our first interview. So we'll have everybody else turn their cameras off. And Eliana, we'd like to chat with you for a couple of minutes. Could we actually get you a little bit more in the frame, though? I'm only able to see like the bottom part of your face right now.
Yeah, sure.
There you are.
All right, awesome. So we know that you're going to be painting for us this evening. I actually have a few of the other pieces that she's done. She was nice enough to send me some copies of other work she's done. So I'm going to have that sort of on the screen while we're chatting with her. So those of you in the stream can see some of the other awesome things that she's painted before.
And while those things go up, Eliana, just tell us like what type of art you normally are creating.
Oh man. Anything and everything, really. I don't like to stick with a particular style because I get bored easily.
Right.
So yeah. But right now I'm really into oil paint. It's very versatile and you can work with it for a lot longer than a lot of other mediums.
So when did you first start painting?
Man, I don't know. A long time ago. I mean, I've been painting ever since I could pick up a brush, basically. So
yeah, I'm interested in. She said you majored in psychology and how like art and psychology, work together either through your experience in studying that or just your experience in life.
Oh, for sure. I think they feed off each other. Like I think a lot of my art isn't like in an effort to understand. Yeah, it's like trying. Most of the art that I make relates to how I'm feeling at the moment and like my own mental health. And so I guess I don't know how psychology would tie into that, but I think it does somehow. Maybe I'm trying to understand the art itself, and like what the different colors mean, and what the different shapes mean, and all that kind of stuff.
I think that all art and painting and visual art included, but also music and everything is so connected with just like the human condition in general, that like it takes, and this is something we even talked about like last week, it takes a lot to put yourself out there and to like put your heart either on a canvas or on a stage, and it's just really interesting to me how those work together. It's just like you could, depending on your state of mind when you sit down to paint, you're never going to paint the same exact thing twice because you're never really going to be in that same state of mind exactly each time.
Yeah, I think something I've learned over the years is it's far easier to paint something that's technically perfect than it is, like you said, to put your heart and mind out there, because you're putting these very intimate feelings and very like deep emotions into a picture and then putting it out for public sale, I guess. It's just kind of a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
So do you sell your pieces or have you had them in shows before? Like where do people normally see your art?
So I do a lot of stuff for commission. I did just get invited to my first art show. So that's coming up in August. Hopefully everything works out, but we'll see. But yeah, mostly commission. I have sold a few pieces that I did myself, but mostly commission.
That's great. So the pictures you shared with me, I had sort of cycling on the stream so that people could see them. Is there any reason that those in particular were the ones that you chose, or were they just the most recent ones you did?
So yeah, some of those are the most recent ones, or the ones, I guess they're kind of the ones that I consider to be good work. So I didn't want to give you anything that was like,
You're probably your own worst critic,
right,
like most people.
There's like a small percentage of the stuff that people get to see. Most everything else goes in the trash.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or gets deleted.
So especially like the pieces with the horses, so is that just like your current inspiration or were those commission pieces?
No, that was something I wanted to do. With this whole virus thing, of course, my main income is from murals. And of course that dried up. The clients that I had decided that they didn't want, to be spending superfluous money on a mural. So that all dried up. So I said, I was like, well, why don't I just use the time that I have at home to prepare for any future shows? Because all my art is stuck to a wall. Right. You can't sell a mural. So I decided to make a portfolio.
Do you know how many murals that you've done over the course of your career?
I'd have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I just think that's so cool because Luis, who was on here 2 weeks ago, also did a lot of mural work, and I think it's just like the grand scale of a mural versus something else is really interesting. Like as from the perspective of somebody who doesn't paint at all, just like seeing how a mural has so many smaller elements that come together to make this big cohesive piece is really interesting to me.
Well, I think you're right. I think the size itself becomes part of the artwork and factors in the way that it's perceived.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil everything because we're gonna actually see more of a finished product at the end. But obviously, like, you've already started on something, and I just wanted to see if you could just give us an idea of what it is you're working on right now.
Yeah, so this is another commission piece. Sorry, I had something cooler to work on for the first when I thought we were doing the first week, but that got finished. So now we're just stuck with this one. But so it's a commission that somebody asked me to do. It's their friends, and it's for their wedding. So nothing really profound going on, but
Yeah, that's cool.
That is great for them to get married. But if you're asking about the art, it's just basically a painting of a picture.
Okay, so you have a picture that you're creating into a painting.
Yes.
That's cool. I love it. That's going to be special.
Yeah, well, we look forward to checking in with you a little bit later in the stream and seeing how it comes along. So like we said, we're going to have Elianna just kind of painting in the background, and we'll check in with you a little bit later.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
All right.
while we get Alan on, I just want to say I'm really excited about this week's group of artists because, the 2 weeks ago, what we did was really great. It was a really special evening. This week we have, more than just music to share. I say more than just music, like music is nothing, but we have more than music to share this evening with some poetry, and we have Elianna's art, and I think it's going to be really special. But we do have some music to start us off with our performers. So we're excited to have Alan on tonight.
Welcome back, Alan.
Hello. Thanks for having me. It's a joy. It's always a joy to perform music.
We enjoyed your support of last week's stream too. I think watching the comments last week, I was trying to keep a straight face. You and your family were cracking me up, especially when we were talking about the now infamous YouTube video of you and Nash finding out that you got the Terry Scholarship.
Oh yes, the no pants dance. Oh, great.
Yelling about turning on sprinklers and stuff. So
turn on the sprinklers.
So remind us what you're doing again right now.
All right. So yeah, I graduated back in 2015. Ever since then, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do back then. I don't think I really had quite the focus I do now. Believe it or not, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with music, or whether even if I wanted to do music. But now it's like set in stone. That's what I'm doing for the rest of my life. I'm teaching at a studio in Dallas right now. It's hard for me to talk about that when my entire life is literally consumed by my newborn daughter. So that is all that I can think about all day, every day.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes,
just turned 6 months, 3 days ago, 5 days ago. Yeah, not that long ago. So now my days is balanced with teaching kids music at the studio and coming back to my little bundle of joy waiting for me. And I could not have a happier life. I'm helping my fiance. We were supposed to be married already, but coronavirus, you know how that goes. So that got pushed till a whole nother year. So now I will have been engaged for 3 years now, but we'll get married eventually. I'm helping her get through school. She's getting her master's in accounting. So just kind of hanging on up in Denton right there till that's all done. And then we'll start our own family wherever that takes us. I want to open a studio someday, but one day.
So
that's awesome.
How have your lessons been affected by, the social distancing stuff that's been put into place?
Oh, it's been crazy. The studio kind of got hit. We originally had over like 1,500 students. And as soon as the coronavirus hit, we dropped down to like 900, and we lost a lot of people. Luckily, most of mine kind of stayed with me. They see the passion, and I think they hear it emanating from me. So they just feel sorry for me. So they don't quit. But it was a struggle at first getting used to Zoom. But I thrive on it now, and it's actually a part of our standard routine at the studio now. So if we have a student that doesn't come because they're sick, even in a couple months from now, we'll just provide them with a Zoom lesson. So it's we had to get over this technology bump anyway. So it kind of forced us to catch up to the times. I can wing a 30-minute Zoom lesson on the piano, like the back of my head now. I have a little neck mount right here that kind of shows the piano while I'm playing. And they love that. Yeah, I can't complain. I love it. Students, on the other hand, a lot of them hate it. They miss seeing me in person. But we're actually starting to go back to the studio next week with strict social distancing measures. So all that's rolling back into play next week.
I feel like that's been a pretty common thing.
You're a natural at these Zoom calls.
I think
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
Oh, I was just saying, so you're probably a natural at performing on a Zoom call, yeah.
Oh, I feel like I'm in my place right now.
I think that's been a pretty common thing across a lot of businesses and even within our own organization. Adjustments that out of necessity might actually end up sticking around because we've figured out how to work them into our routine, and in some ways have made things better for a lot of people just because maybe they didn't have a reason to try it out before, but can open endless possibilities. So that's great.
Yeah. We had Skype lessons before all this, but probably we had 4 students in the entirety of my 3 years teaching there that used it. And now you're right. It's a new tool in the toolbox that we can use.
All right. Well, would we like to go ahead and let Alan get started?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's play your first song.
Okay. All right. I got 2 songs for y'all in different styles. They're both jazz because I have a particular affinity for jazz. I wasn't necessarily raised on it. I started off on like church music, gospel and blues and all that kind of stuff. And then in high school, I got a jazz mentor from UNT that taught us a lot of jazz standards, voicings and stuff like that. And it just kind of stuck with me ever since. The first one I'm going to do for y'all is a solo piano piece. Originally composed in the 30s by Hoagie Carmichael. Everyone probably knows it by Ray Charles's rendition. It's Georgia on My Mind. And it's been my favorite song for like a million years. And my mother just told me last week that it was the #1 song on the radio the year she was born. So now I have an extra reason to love it. This song is dedicated to her and her friend Chris Wilkins, who might be watching right now or later on the stream.
Bravo! That was beautiful.
Thank you. I'm not sure how the audio.
It sounded great.
Through. Hopefully the low notes kind of hang in there, but there it is.
Yeah, that was really. It's so crazy that when you just hear a song like instrumentally, which I don't honestly listen to a lot of music that's just instrumental. Like you actually appreciate the notes that are played under what's typically has vocals over it. So that was
100%.
really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I sing all the time too, but I just find myself more emotionally connected to instrumental music. Like when I'm singing, I feel like the emotions are given to me by the lyrics, which is great, and it's like the main pride of a vocalist to be able to interpret that. But I like to interpret emotions from the way notes make me feel. And if I feel a certain way, I want my chord to reflect the way I'm feeling right there. So that's, if it's not obvious, that's improv right there. If when I'm feeling a certain way, that's the way I play. And hopefully that's a reflection of how I feel about this Terry meeting. In combination with being jacked up on Starbucks.
I have to say,
those two things together.
one of the things that I really enjoy about watching people play piano especially is their face while they're playing. Like you can tell when you're just completely in the middle of it and it was just flowing out of you. So
it's sometimes it can be a pullback because you can forget you're in the middle of the lesson and you're like, wait, how long have I been going? Have I been going 30 minutes? I need to shut this down.
When did you learn how to play piano? Did you like take piano lessons as a child? Is that because
yeah, I took lessons. We started off. We had a little upright piano in my mom and dad's house when we were young, and when we were about 4 or so, we just kind of hobbled up to the piano and found all these black notes right here. That's what I was drawn to. So I was always playing stuff like it wasn't like that. It was like, right. And just finding all the notes, the black notes give you a certain kind of scale that's really inherent in a lot of blues and jazz. And I think it just kind of stuck with me ever since then. I started taking lessons at about 6 or 7, and then continued that throughout high school, and then eventually into college.
Yeah, and I know we already said it, but I mean, if people were watching 2 weeks ago and Alan looks familiar, it's not Nash who was on 2 weeks ago. They're twins. And I think that's really interesting that both of y'all have gravitated toward jazz music at this point in y'all's lives. And I just wonder what that dynamic was like, having a twin brother who is also so interested and passionate about music, and what that was like growing up. I mean, were y'all learning alongside of each other?
Definitely. It was a unique dynamic for sure, but I think it definitely it pushed me to become a better musician because not from like a synergistic standpoint, but from like I want to be better than Nash standpoint. So it was always like there was even like jokes growing up where I would find a song kind of like Georgia, and then I would start playing it and he would like it and he would start playing it. And then it would turn into this whole thing like, that's my song. I want to play that. No, that's my song. And obviously you can't claim the song. That doesn't make any sense. But the point is that we pushed each other to get better and to get better. And eventually that evolved from a competition to a more of, we just yearned to be better in the field of music. And we started working together. We eventually split off into 2 different paths, and we have a very complementary energy when we're together. A lot of people say that we sound great so and so when we're by ourselves, but when we get together, that's when the magic happens, because we can just feed off each other's energy, and it seems like it just feels natural.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
All right, well, we'd like to go ahead and jump into the second song.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
All right, awesome.
Okay, so let's see. My second song is a jazz standard, a little later in the life of jazz. It was done in the 70s by Chick Corea, probably one of my favorites, jazz fusion artists, my favorite jazz fusion artist of all time. He did an album, Light as a Feather, and he had this one song on it called Spain that was so popular it turned into a standard, and now it's like a rite of passage for a lot of jazz musicians at UNT and kind of all over the world. I'm going to attempt it. Hopefully I can give it a little bit of justice. Let me fix this up. I use a setting where I have bass here, keyboard up here and drums in the background, so we'll see if I can get this whole band together. Let's go right here, and let's go right here. Okay. All right. Let me fix this. All right.
That's
Oh, thank you.
yeah, that's awesome. I was thinking while you were playing that, because you were talking about your daughter a little while ago, what her response to your music has been. I know she's only 6 months old, but you know, like, does she love hearing you play or just hearing music in
She's
general?
got an incredible response to music. I know I'm biased, and you're right, she's only 6 months, but we can do literally anything that we think that she likes, have her favorite toy, have anything. And it doesn't matter what music it is, but if music comes on the TV, she turns around, looks like that. You pretty much don't exist anymore. She's just listening to the music. I have this setup is usually at my house. I usually Zoom from her nursery when she's not in there, obviously. And I have this little the Hangover thing from the movie The Hangover that sits right here, and I just put her right here and I play, and she just babbles and babbles and babbles, and it's the like the there's no words. There's no words. There's no words to describe the pure joy of doing the thing I love the most with the person I love the most in the world, and it just brightens up her day. I'd like to say it's because of my music, but the little kid just loves music wherever she sees it, and it could not make me any happier.
I think it's safe to
Yeah.
say it's in your family's genes.
Oh, definitely.
At this point, yeah, that's a safe assumption. Just like continuing on that for just a second, though, how has your perception of music and art changed since you became a dad?
Since I became a dad, I think the kind of hit on what I was talking about earlier. I mean, my perception in music itself has evolved over time. Originally, it was competing with Nash to see who was better. And then we kind of both got to the same level. And then it was like competing to the rest of the world to see who was better. I'm better than everyone else. And I'm going to make sure that I can do that. And then it evolved from that into just exploring the art of music itself and how it makes you feel, the reason you do it. Music is like a reflection of how you feel and how you view the world. So if you incorporate those ideas in your playing, then not only is your playing going to be more authentic and realistic, then it's practice isn't a job anymore. It's like music is my therapy. And that's the way I like to think about it. And it's never been more true than after I had my daughter. After I had my daughter, every ounce of potential shame that I could have for making a mistake. I made like 10 mistakes in that song right there. And I just don't care because it just doesn't matter. I mean, for one thing, in jazz, there's no mistakes. If you make a wrong note, you can make it right, depending on what you do. But aside from that, it's less about making mistakes. It's more about having a reflection on how you feel inside. And when my daughter gives me pure joy, it makes me play the best. So she's directly correlated to my ability to like expand my horizons and what I think music means to me itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
It's really special. I mean, yeah, I have a daughter that's she's almost 2.5, and I can definitely relate to a lot of that emotion and that attachment and that feeling. It's really a special bond. Before we let you go, any advice that you have now that you have experienced so much transformation in your life and in your music, and any advice for young aspiring musicians out there who might be in college and studying music, or might be in college studying something else, but they know that music is always going to be a part of their life?
Okay. I mean, yeah, there's one thing that I always keep thinking about, and it's something that I have to tell a lot of my students that I wish was told to me more when I was young as a practicing musician. And it really doesn't only apply to music, it applies to really anything that you're trying to become more proficient at. And that's just like framing a problem in your mind, analyzing the scope of a situation and being able to think about it differently. Like the way that I practice now isn't practice because of the way I think about it. So me practicing for 8 hours a day now is fun. We're practicing 20 minutes a day in high school was absolute torture because I just didn't want to do it. So it's about framing your minds. And it's, in addition to that, it's realizing that I would see music when I was younger, and there would be a billion notes on the page, and I would think, I'm never going to be able to do that. but it's only because it was structured or was presented to me in a way that seemed like, oh, this is reserved for a college person, or this is reserved for someone that's well past my skill level. And it turns out I have a lot of students that have that same problem. And so I don't give them the whole piece. I just give them one small section. Before I even introduce to them the whole piece, I show them that they can do this one measure. We call it a measure of music, one little 4 seconds of music, and they can do that 4 measures. And as soon as they can do that, then I show them that that was a part of the whole piece. And then they realize, oh, so the only thing standing between me and accomplishing my dream is just persistence. It's just practice. It's not like an ungodly talent that was bestowed upon you or something. It's just about working hard, and the way you work hard is reframing your mind to not consider it work anymore. That would be my best piece of advice to give anyone that was in those beginning stages of not thinking they're good enough to do something. It's just, that's it.
Yeah, that's great.
That idea of taking it a step at a time translates to pretty much any problem that somebody could face too. So thank you for that.
Small goals. Yeah, I love that. Well, Alan, this was a real treat. We appreciate you joining us tonight, and I hope to hear you play in person at some point soon. You know, now that I'm back in the Dallas area, so that's gonna.
Oh, hey, for sure. I go down to Nash's restaurant all the time. Sometimes I fill in for him, or I'll just make a guest appearance. So let's get Caroline down there. Let's do some jams. I'm ready for it, man.
I love it. And I had a peek at the comments during one of your songs. I saw Nash was cheering you on from the comment section.
I'm sure he was.
So go say hi to him.
Well, once we get some alumni activity going in the Dallas area again, post pandemic times, hopefully we'll get a chance to see you in person as well at an alumni event.
Oh, I'd love to. Yes.
All right. Well, Alan, thank you again so much. It was such a pleasure having you on this evening.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I love my Terry family, and I hope to see all of y'all again very soon.
Awesome.
Great. Have a wonderful night and a great rest of your weekend. Say hi to the family for us.
Bye, Alan.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Reyes, are you ready to join us?
Ready when you are.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for joining us this evening. I'd love to start just by talking about what you're currently doing, what organization you're involved with. Basically, what have you been up to since college?
Since I graduated from undergrad from University of Houston, went and lived in Austin for a bit to get my MFA in creative writing from Texas State University. Then I moved back to Houston in 2015. Since then, I've been working for a lot of arts nonprofits. Currently, I'm working at an organization called Fresh Arts that provides resources to artists. So everything but the art itself, like how do you file your taxes as an artist, how do you do a grant proposal, all that good stuff. And in terms of creatively, I've been working on same things I've always been working on, like writing. So right now, working on some poems, working on some fiction, essays, reviews, just keeping that, that muscle, just training that muscle a lot. And so today will be part of a book that I've been working on that hopefully will be published soon. But I have a book of short stories coming out hopefully next year. So
that's awesome. Did you always know that writing was going to be your passion in terms of how your art was going to manifest itself out into the world? When did you kind of discover that writing was really like your strong suit?
I don't know. I was like I actually didn't like school or writing or reading. I played mostly like video games and watched TV growing up, especially because school ruined a lot of like reading and writing for me. Because they were so strict, and now as an educator I saw what the flaws were, but back then I didn't, and I didn't care. It wasn't really until actually undergrad, that was kind of one of the cool things about the Terry scholarship, was that I could major in whatever and take classes and whatever, and I wouldn't have to pay for them. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just double major, I don't care, I'll double minor. And I took like 18 hours of classes a semester. But I actually ended up growing into my passion, which is writing there, just from the community, just from getting to have the time to like notice art and be able to sit down and write, and at my own freedom. So like rather than having to do tax testing or whatever they're calling it now, I could do it on my own terms, and I think that's kind of like it'd probably be around like sophomore year of college that I was like, I actually want to do this.
Did you have any outlets while you were in college for sharing your writing or exploring your writing?
No, I mean, I wrote a lot and I got published in some places. Uh, and ever since then, it's just been maintaining that energy. So, yeah. So, at University of Houston, if you went there, like their thing is like Glass Mountain and stuff like that. I started my own literary journal there. Did a lot of stuff. To keep myself occupied.
Is poetry the thing you like to write the most?
I wouldn't say that. I would say poetry is a thing to write. So like in the writing world, it's very siloed off. So you get poets, fiction writers, essayists, and there's rarely any kind of crossover, or at least one would think the way it's set up in different institutions. About it is if I want to state truth, I use poetry. If I want to find the truth, I use nonfiction.
Yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, can you say that again? I want to write that down because I think that's really smart.
Oh, sure. Oh, thank you. If I want to state the truth or state my truth, poetry. If I want to explore truth, fiction. If I now want to find or discover the truth, then I write nonfiction.
Very cool.
So, who or what would you say have been some of your inspirations or influences as a writer?
So, I mean, already you see one right here. It's Gabriel Garcia Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. When I read that, changed my life. So 100 Years of Solitude, if you haven't read it, read it. So Toni Morrison, amazing writer. In terms of poetry, there's so many influences, but like Tomas Rivera. It was a lot of people that I read in college because I got to pick the curriculum. Unfortunately, like in high school and stuff like that, I didn't really get to read a lot of the people I wanted to read. So it was until like a little bit later. So Tomas Rivera, if you haven't read him, Toni Morrison. Lately, I've been reading. So I've read Kisi Lehmann's Heavy. It's an incredible memoir. There's another another book that I'm reading right now called Movies and Other Things by Shea Serrano, who's a Houston writer. And he takes kind of like he does film reviews, but he does them really like comically. So like, for example, he wrote a review of Avengers Endgame through an interview with his kids. And so
That's
it's
awesome.
sort of like, yeah. And so it's kind of that imaginative kind of way of rethinking a genre or a form. And
So did you say that tonight you'll be sharing some excerpts from a book that you're working on?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear it. If you want to get started with the first thing that you want to share with us.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Sure. Thank you. So the first two poems I'll be reading are from a series of poems about Houston, kind of portraits of Houston, and just kind of the contemporary political climate in America, and how I reconcile these things, knowing what's happening in America, but also seeing the beauty that's before me. So how do I process those things? So the title of this one is The 73 Bus on a Thursday around 6:30 p.m. in Houston is my America. Outside, the cold air hurts twice, breathing in, then out, and every sidewalk is cracked. I step inside this bus. People rest in metal pews. The tires sing with strain. The street is an infinite film. Buildings exist until they don't. There's no need to look in someone else's eyes. This bus is a nation of waiting. I sit and become its citizen. At the next stop, 10 black and brown mothers with their children join this nation too. But every seat is full. The tired sigh all at once and rise to their feet. The first unspoken law: no mother or child shall suffer within their waiting. The second, silence. This is in America, absolutely, but no one here shall be its victim. I stand. A mother settles down with a child in her lap. How grand to witness this altar of the primordial love between creator and creation. I surrender to its peace and find comfort in my irrelevance. Let anyone that disrupts this milagro be buried in flame, the ashes left to nourish the growth of the enemy. I am 23 stops away from my exile. The passage of time has a voice and speaks through a bus engine. That becomes part of the air. We all breathe in the humming. As the bus stops for me, the brakes scream with purpose. I get off and watch the ship pass. The passengers will not remember me. After all, every nation is a means to an end. This is a nation that completes beyond me. And so this second poem, again, kind of in the same series. A fourth grade dance party in the cafeteria on a Monday at 1 p.m. in Houston is my America. The children file in, bright sneakers chirping across dark blue and gray tiles. We are all at work. I chaperone. Lunch ladies count change. A custodian mops a corner. The gym teacher cues a playlist. No child must do anything except what the music urges. Mira, this dance is a nation of motion. I stand at a wall and become its facilitator. The scheduled bell rings. The children hear a song, then another. The ones who know how to dance form a mass and move to the beat. More children join in this boiling of joints and sound. They know every dance, the Millie Rock, the Juju, Running Man, even the ones before their life, the Macarena, the Wobble, the Cha-Cha Slide. Everybody mirrors another. This must be an inherited language, since movement has been our only truth. I witness. A song's lyrics progress until the lines everyone has memorized plays. The children sing in one mind from their many voices in honor of this shared joy. I need not be a member of this congregation to be saved by it. It is 5 minutes until the next bell rings. The children have grown old with fatigue and understand that everything ends. A song, a dance, this nation. The adults continue working. I file children back into a line. Lunch ladies wait to leave. The custodian mops that corner. The gym teacher is just a gym teacher now. The children go back to class to learn math or science or history. I realize that in the face of what needs to be changed in my country, I'm still a child. All right, and so these next two poems, and that'll be it, are part of another series of poems that I'm doing where I do research into history and I pull kind of Latino, Latina, Latinx historical figures and I write portraits of them. So this one is about Eddie Guerrero. He is a professional wrestler. He was a professional wrestler. He died. He was part of a long dynasty of professional wrestlers. His father, Gory Guerrero, is considered the grandfather of lucha libre. And so growing up, I'd watch pro wrestling, and Eddie Guerrero was probably one of the best to ever do it. So this poem is for him. It is titled, Eddie Guerrero enters the ring holding the world championship. The body brown, belt gold, eyes closed, nose in the air, shoulders shake to each word. I lie, I cheat, I steal. White men, what you hold sacred we will take. Money, cars, liquor, land, life, winning. You won't like this. That's fine. Our world champion drives bouncing Lolos, talks shit. He grins through crimson masks, slit roaring red, red rain, lifts bodies into orbit, drops them like judgments, leaps from turnbuckles, bronze fist blooming into flames. Brown bodies know that violence is the marriage between their hot ambition and the rule of law. What respect can we have for the word legal, since illegal can describe our skin, our joy, our life? I lie, I cheat, I steal. I lie, I cheat, I steal. Our champion of the world pokes eyes, low blows, spits. Behind the ref's back, he hits the floor with a chair, metal clang, chucks it into his opponent's hands, collapses as though shot. The ref turns around, shocked. He points to his white foe, gets them disqualified. There's no difference between a win and a fair win, except how much your faith in the system frees you. What good are your rules if they grant only your dignity? What good are your codes if broken by our breathing? Our world champion struts over a white body. We're not meant to exist with such extravagance. I lie, I cheat, I steal. We lie, we cheat, we steal. Smile with your tongue out in honor of broken laws. And the last poem I'll be reading is for Selena. Selena Quintanilla. If you don't know her, shame on you. If you know her, then hopefully this will brighten your day. So this one's called Selena's Last Concert in Houston. I looked up at the TV, child eyes electric bright, from Selena's jumpsuit made of the purple cosmos, which shimmered across her great cuerpo of curves, the arc of the universe bending to the whim of a chicana. Every organ piled to my belly, and I felt the weight of my existence burdened with potential or defeat, disgrace or love, rumbling awfully enough to bring me to my knees in prayer or mercy, dazed in awe or reverence as she sang the word flor, then composed one out of the black air with the flicking spells of her hand as though speaking to me in bendiciones. She will soon receive a gunshot in her shoulder, infinite potential spilling out like milk out of a tipped pitcher. What beauty there is, they want it for themselves, oh so scary fast. We shouldn't fear what's greater than us, lest we never leave our bodies, because at 23, Selena sang into the devouring void and demanded a response. Left hand across her breast, breathing in through a smiling mouth, heavy waves of screaming amor. For small moments of eternity, she looked into the camera through her bangs, disordered by wild performance, and at me, alone, just sitting there, draped with a blanket in the dark living room of my mom's apartment. There you go.
Those were all so beautiful. And I loved how you said shame on you if you don't know who Selena is.
Absolutely.
I feel like I could talk about those for an hour. Unfortunately, we don't have that much time, but I want to go back to the portraits of like the This Is My America, portraits of Houston, ones that you read first. I feel like there was such a strong theme of institutionalism and religion and politics, and I wonder, because you had mentioned that you studied political science, if that has anything to do with it. There was, you talk about comparing the bus benches to metal pews, and that there's these unspoken laws, and even in the fourth grade dance party, everyone has a job. I just feel like there's a lot of like economics and politics going on in there. Was that intentional, or is that just my interpretation, or does that have anything to do with your political science background?
No, it's totally intentional. I think kind of studying political science, as part of my degree, I interned with a lot of political organizations. Part of my experience with that, like I interned for a senator, I interned for different organizations. And so like, doing that let me see kind of the intricate parts that need to happen, that have to happen for a city to happen, for a nation to happen, right? So for everyone to be able to have running water, we all need that person that runs the the board back at wherever the water station treatment plant is, and then for that to happen, you need teachers who have taught that person. And then for that building to exist, you need the architects. And for all that, you still needed the people, the custodians to clean the area. You need all of those things to form a nation. And so I think kind of what I'm trying to get at with the poems and going through those processes is kind of showing that, like, what would a nation look like if it treated everyone fairly, if everyone was acknowledged for contributing to it, that they in the way that they should be.
That's really interesting, and I love how you talk about, with the dance party. It's like you said something about not needing to be indoctrinated or something to be saved by it, and the inherited truth of dance and motion, which is funny to me because I have this question that I always ask myself specifically about the Macarena is, when in life do we learn how to do that? It's like everyone knows how to do the Macarena, but no one can remember exactly when they learned how. And it's just, that's bizarre that was a specific example in that piece.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly like a thing of like what's handed down. How do we actually hand down these things? And yeah, those things. Yeah, I never actually like can't pinpoint the time when I actually learned to like do some of these dances. It's just some point they happened and you were thrown in there, and that's part of like the national language. It's part of like like what's handed down.
I'm gonna say with the Macarena specifically, I probably can pinpoint it back to maybe like 5th or 6th grade. I remember like all of a sudden that's the only thing they would play in gym class. But I'm a few years older than you guys, so maybe that's why. Yeah. Reyes, one of the things that I really appreciate is the way that you layer in the sensory elements whenever you're doing your world building and you're describing the scenario, because I think that even if the experience might not be relatable to the reader in some way, which thank you so much for sharing all of those elements of truth, because they do need to be shared, but being able to pull someone in with the way that the world is being built that you're describing, and they can place themselves in it just by seeing and feeling and hearing the things as you've described them, and then realize that you are not all that different than the people experiencing those things in this story. So I really appreciate that element of your writing. I think it's very beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, I think kind of for me, and it might be tied to my political, science experience or in my experience in the politics, is that to write about something is a political statement. You can choose to write about anything you want, even if you choose to remain apolitical is a statement. And I think kind of like if I wrote about trees, I mean, I have a series of poems about turtles because I love turtles, but even that is like a thing to question of like, as a poet, it's like there's so many things going on. Why would you write about turtles? And then you kind of have to think about like, well, this is why turtles are important right now, or why they're important to me. And I think at some point you just have to write what you see, what you feel, and I think people will gravitate towards that.
Does your culture and your like cultural identity play a lot into what you write? I mean, obviously the last two poems, that obviously plays into those, but in terms of like, the overall, is that really important to you in terms of sharing that part of yourself with the world?
Yeah, I mean, as a writer and someone who studies politics, it's I think every single piece of writing has to be culturally important, because from what perspective is it going to come from? It's going to come from the writer. And so like, yeah, so like for example, the first set of poems, what I see, right? I grew up, very poor. I didn't have a car and I still don't. I mean, I don't have a car right now. I did, but different story. But like, I ride the bus a lot, and so it's not enough to be a witness sometimes. Sometimes you actually have to do something about it. And that's kind of, I think, part of the politics of it. And so for me, like I'm a part of these situations of like, I'm riding the bus, or I'm a teacher, I'm a substitute teacher at a school for a day. And even though I witness in these things, I'm still a part of them. And so recognizing your own place in the larger scheme of things, that within itself is a part of culture, right? Like, what role do you play in the larger narrative of the larger conversation of a country? If I am a worker in it, what does that mean? What culture? How is the culture of being a worker informing the way I see the world? Is it through dollars and cents, or is it through the things that I work on? Yeah. And so being Latino, even me, like Mexican Salvadoran descent. So I have portraits of Mexican American figures, but also Salvadoran American figures, and the interaction between those things. And so,
Yeah.
One of the lines I really liked from your poem about Eddie Guerrero, who I also grew up watching, by the way, with my granddad.
And just so, in case the people didn't know, I lie, I cheat, I steal was his catchphrase.
And I probably wrote this down wrong, but it resonated with me when you said it, about what good are the rules if they only give you your dignity. I just thought that was really powerful again, and I think speaks to a lot of the experiences that people unfortunately have in this country, trying to toe the line and trying to follow the rules. Why? So I really appreciated that.
Yeah. Also, same thing with political science, or what I studied of, like, like Martin Luther King would say, like, there are unjust laws. There are times when you have to, like, like, even though a law would say something, or something would declare you as something, you still have to exist, you still have to live. And so, what good are those laws if they only grant one section of the population's dignity, but not these people?
Before we let you go, since it seems like that you have had, a lot of success with your writing, that's a really difficult, world to be in for anybody, in terms of, like, wanting to get published and get their work out there. Do you have any tips or advice for any writers out there who are, battling that right now, and trying to even just trying to write? I mean, because that can be hard, to sit down in front of a blank page and try to make something. I mean, what's your process, and then what advice do you have in terms of publishing and just getting your work out there?
One is that to keep going, to keep writing. I think, as a writer, I think what gets really frustrating is getting the approval of others, whether it be through publishing, whether it be through acknowledgments or accolades. But I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that the art, and this could go for any art, but it's speaking as a writer, that the art only gets better. It with time. The more you do it, the better it's going to get. It's not a thing that if you don't get it, it's gone forever. It's something that you can constantly work at, even if you don't like your writing, even if you don't see what the merit in it. You could. Maybe it just takes more time. And even then, there's a writer, his name is Marlon James. Even he says, like, the crappy stuff that you wrote, in like 10 years, it could be your next novel. Just because you grew with that experience, and you're looking back and you're like, I didn't have the tools necessary to complete this project, this idea, but now I do. And so, like, yeah, so just keep going, keep working at it. Your art only gets better. And you never reach a pinnacle. It's the art only keeps developing as you develop. And as far as publishing, be patient. There's so many mechanics in that invisible machine that you don't get to control. And the best thing you can do is to keep writing and keep working at what makes you happy, what completes your artistic and creative soul. Because if you won't do that, no one else is going to.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad that you joined us tonight.
Yeah.
That was really, really incredible. And I can't wait to see the book. So please keep us updated, because I'd love to read more of your stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you
Definitely
so
make
much.
sure you post in Terry Connect whenever you have updates. And also, where can people find your work?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you all for having me. You can go to my website, which is Reyes, V as in Victor, Victorious, Ramirez.com. On Instagram at NISABES, Nisabes. Twitter, y si requiere, whatever. It's just follow me, go to my website. It's all there.
And do you have that on your Terry Connect profile?
Yes, I do.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, y'all definitely make sure you go check him out. Thank you so much.
That's how I found him, was on Terry Connect. So Terry Connect is a great way to find people.
Yeah.
It worked. It works. Do it.
But we're just, thank you so much for sharing your voice with us this evening, for sharing those snippets of this shared American experience that we have. I think that I hope, you know, everybody that either is listening now or it gets a chance to watch later feels the same impact that we did. You're a really great writer, and I can't wait to read your finished work when it comes out.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from you, Blaine. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great
good
evening.
weekend.
Yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you. You
Stay
too.
safe, stay healthy. Okay, so last but certainly not least, we have Los Loud Boys. So Herrero and
With the Z.
with the Z, Herrero and Drew, if you guys would like to join us. Hey,
Coming in hot. Here we
how are you guys doing?
What's up?
doing great. Drew's doing some audio stuff, but we're here.
Cool. I'm getting a little bit of an echo. Are you, Blaine?
Yeah, I heard a little bit of one, but
Give us 1 sec.
Okay, that
it
already
sounds like it
yeah,
may be gone.
yeah, that already sounded better. Cool. Well, as we've done with everyone else, we would love the chance to chat with you guys first before y'all play us a couple of songs. So when did y'all first get together as a band?
So we met each other actually at a Camp Kesem event at UT Dallas. And one of us says, "Hey, do you like this X band?" And I said, "Yeah, like how about we jam?" And that's really how we started playing.
So Blaine,
and
are
we
you
just playing slowly, just playing with each other and just getting more comfortable playing. And then we started making some songs. We started doing some shows, some pretty bad shows at the beginning, obviously, starting out. And then slowly but surely, we just got more comfortable playing with one another. And now we're here playing in front of 500,000 people live.
That's awesome. Blaine, are you familiar with Camp Kesem, by the way?
Just peripherally from what you've posted on your social media.
So it's a summer camp for kids who have a parent with cancer, and the UTD Terry Scholars have built a dynasty at UTD with Camp Kesem, but they're actually responsible for bringing the program to UTD, and thus far have probably been the majority of the leadership and the counselors in the program, because I think, how many sessions have there been? 3 there?
Yeah,
3 or
so
4? So what were your camp names then? I have to ask.
I was Duck.
Duck?
I was King Cobra, also known as Spanish Cobra, Bell Cobra with DA, Spicy Cobra, many Cobras.
And
shout out to Dave and Ryan for creating their stuff.
Oh yeah.
yeah, so Dave was Fish Sticks.
Ryan was Concho.
Oh, that's right. So that's the other thing, Blaine, you have to pick camp names. The kids pick them too.
Okay.
But it's awesome that you guys met through that program. What are some of your influences and inspirations for your musical style?
Starting off, I would say the Mexican music that I listened to growing up was really the most influential thing for me. So cumbia, regional, some corridos, some nacho corridos, as we call them, a lot of love ballads. So that's really what I listen to. That's not really what I play, because it's kind of difficult to play those kind of songs with just 2 people. But that's really what I love listening to, and that's what I try to bring to this Los Loud Boys enterprise.
Yeah, my guitar playing probably like Black Keys, White Stripes, 2-piece rock bands, and then for the softer stuff, just like indie artists like Mac DeMarco, stuff like that.
Awesome. Well, so where did the band name Los Loud Boys come from? Who came up with it?
Well, you won't really see today, but usually we're really, really loud.
We tried doing some sound checks to see if we could get a couple of louder songs in there, but I don't think Zoom's cooperating.
Hence the name Los Loud Boys for him.
But so whenever the pandemic isn't getting in the way, do you guys play gigs regularly, or where can people see you perform?
So we have some speakeasy concerts around UT Dallas. We're supposed to reserve the rooms that we play in, but that doesn't always happen. So we just we book the choir room or the music room, and we just say, hey guys, Saturday at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, we're gonna be there. And if you guys are there at the same room with us at the same time, there might be music. But,
May or may not be.
Yeah.
We've also played downtown at high school.
At my old high school, at Townview High School. So those are our outdoor gigs, getting ready for Coachella, obviously.
Yeah.
So we're trying to prepare for those venues.
Beautiful view of the downtown skyline. It's pretty nice.
So I'm interested in how
awesome.
those clandestine concerts work when it's rock music that you play. That's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Not really speakeasy music.
That's
Oh,
awesome though. Okay,
So
cool.
we got people in there, we love.
Yeah.
All right, well, would you guys like to play us your first song?
Yep,
Oh yes.
All right, awesome.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute my phone so we can go through the better microphone.
Can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Alrighty, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I don't do this very often anymore. Recently lost someone that I adore. You know I haven't been feeling like myself lately. Don't wanna be lonely anymore. And I don't trust myself to not make the best decisions. I don't trust myself to not smoke when I get bored. I don't trust myself to not fall in love just a little too fast. I don't trust myself to not wanna be adored. Wanna be adored. Wanna be adored. Wanna be adored. I don't trust myself to not make the best decisions. I don't trust myself to not smoke when I get bored. I don't trust myself to not fall in love just a little too fast. I don't trust myself to not wanna be adored. I don't trust myself to not make the best decisions. I don't trust myself to not smoke when I get bored. I don't trust myself to not fall in love just a little too fast. I don't trust myself to not wanna be adored. Wanna be adored. Really adored. I wanna be adored. I wanna be adored. Thank you. And then we have one more. That one was an original song. This next one's kind of a cover. Kind of put our own spin on it.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna set the mood for this.
Oh, yeah.
Give us 1 second.
Okay.
So how many original songs do y'all have or do y'all perform on a regular basis?
Hold on, sorry, gotta put the headphones on.
Sorry,
what'd you say?
How many original songs do y'all have, or how many original songs are y'all performing on a regular basis? At this point?
We probably have about like 7 full songs. 5 of them are like totally done. 2 more need work, but yeah, 7. Trying to make it soon.
How long does it take from like start to finish to get a song done?
Sometimes we're just like jamming and it takes
as long as we're jamming. So like, I don't know, we could probably complete a song in like 30 minutes, at least the majority of like the musical parts, but lyrics, that takes a while. You can't just, well, I can't just like sit down and come up with lyrics right on the spot like that. So usually we're done with the music in about maybe 30 minutes or an hour of jamming, and then we just kind of keep playing it every week, and it changes just a little bit, as we practice. And then lyrics, I gotta like find inspiration, and just who knows when that comes. Once that comes, maybe like 30 minutes to write the lyrics too.
So who primarily writes the lyrics? Do you guys split that, or?
I've written all the lyrics so far, but
they're coming though.
He mostly plays drums, but he writes some guitar parts too.
Yeah, I think my lyrics, I don't know.
Sorry, we had to completely cut out your drum element this evening too.
It's okay.
No worries.
So where can people find you guys? Like, do y'all have social medias or a website they can go check out and watch you guys perform?
Oh, yes, we do. So we have an Instagram page, a YouTube page, and a Facebook page. And the name for those are, once again, Los Loud Boys, LOUDBOYZ.
And a SoundCloud too.
And a SoundCloud as well, yeah.
And do you have all of that in your Terry Connect profile also? We wanted to point people that way.
No, I do not.
Sounds like we need to, though.
I mean, you could.
I need to, though, that's for sure.
Or feel free to put them on the feed too, or whenever if you want to post them in the stream comments or in the feed in Terry Connect, anywhere you want to. I'm sure people would love to hear your sound.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, cool. Are we ready for song number 2?
Yep.
Sure. Yes, we are.
So, like we said, this is kind of a White Stripes cover, but a little bit of Gerardo Torres flair in the middle. Got to set the mood.
Set the mood, ladies and gentlemen. This song goes out to all the 500,000 viewers in the stream. Here we go. Can you see my face? A little bit. Go ahead. I saw you standing in the corner on the edge of a burning light. I saw you standing in the corner. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. In the cold, cold night. I can't fight it any longer. I need your touch to make my fire bright. So don't fight it any longer. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. In the cold, cold night. I hear you walking by my front door. I hear the creaking of the kitchen floor. I don't care what other people say. I'm gonna love you anyway. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. In the cold, cold night. Oye chiquitita, ¿qué te parece si me das tu número telefónico? Y yo, como para las 2 de la tarde, te mando un mensaje por el WhatsApp y nos ponemos en contacto para ponernos bien cachondos. ¿Qué te parece, chiquitita? I can't fight it any longer. I need your touch to make my fire bright. So don't fight it any longer. Come to me again in the cold, cold night. 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 Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is why I play the drums, okay?
Thanks, guys.
I thought it was awesome.
Thank you.
This may sound crazy, but I really like how accessible I feel like y'all's like vibe and music is. It just seems like two people who are really comfortable with each other, just almost like having a jam session, but
exactly.
in a good sounding way.
No, that's totally what pretty much all of it is.
Yeah. it's cool. It's really fun to listen to. And don't worry, I was drumming along.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely comes through in the way that you guys play, so it's obvious
Yeah.
that y'all really enjoy it.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, okay, what else do y'all have going on right now besides music, or is music what you're choosing to focus on during the pandemic?
So both Drew and I, we have full-time jobs. So we work. I still have to go outside of the house and do my thing. So Monday through Friday, I do that. And then Saturdays, I just meet up with Drew and we rock out.
Yeah, pretty much every weekend.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great outlet.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I
absolutely.
was gonna ask. Is that like y'all's escape after
Oh,
all the craziness of the week and everything going on right now? I mean, do y'all do every weekend like jam sessions even when there's not a global pandemic?
Oh,
yeah. We go outdoors. We do all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, I just recently got this huge room where we have all of our stuff. But we used to just either play at UTD or we would play downtown at that high school. So
Very risky business down there by downtown.
That was going to be my question. Like, where do you guys get the chance to go jam that you don't have people complaining about the noise, or is that ever an issue?
That high school is like kind of in its own area in a way. I don't think we're too loud when we go out there. And then UTD, we usually go on the weekend and then at night. So if anyone's there, it's like one person and
That's
they just
cool.
move to a different
Right.
building.
Y'all can just cut loose.
Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm sure.
Sometimes the cello player doesn't want to let us play, and so we're like, okay, I guess we'll wait. So like, do you know, like, we're those Loud Boys, you know, the greatest rock band of the 21st century.
They've performed in front of 500,000 people
Exactly.
on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, if there's a complaint about it being loud, they're probably just like, oh, that's those Loud Boys.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
exactly.
Although there could be potential for some sort of crossover collaboration. I think you could do fun things with that sound combination, maybe. I don't know, I guess
That
maybe
cello player, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, get the cello player.
Mic them up real loud.
Caroline, who was on 2 weeks ago, plays cello, so maybe she can.
There you go.
She
Love
can
to hear
Oh,
that.
that's
collab.
great.
Awesome. Okay, well, anything else that people should keep an eye out for from you guys in the near future?
So immediately after this, we're gonna do a live stream on our Facebook page in which we are gonna incorporate the drums. So that should be fun, and we could get, you know, an interesting sound. Hopefully, we've been working on it, so hopefully it works out.
Awesome. Yeah, so anybody
love
that
it.
wants to jump over and get loud, make sure you go check out their Facebook page at Los Loud Boys
There you go.
With the Z.
with the Z.
With the Z, that's right.
Also, I think somebody in the stream comments was linking your social. I think they put your Instagram. Thank you, Tiffany.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
Holly also, yeah, okay, awesome. Okay, well, guys, thank you so much for playing for us this evening.
Yes, thank
Again,
you.
I wish we could have given you the opportunity to be as loud as you normally are, but we really enjoyed
No
the
worries.
songs that y'all played. And hopefully we'll get to see y'all around. Thank you for, everything y'all have contributed with Camp Kesem at UTD. I know that program has changed a lot of lives and will continue to do so. So I just think that's awesome that you guys were able to lend yourselves to that as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And just quick note, shout out to all the UTD 2020 graduates. I saw you guys in the stream yesterday. It was great seeing you all. And specifically to a friend who's no longer with us, Eric Omogbehan. He would have graduated this semester, so keeping his memory alive. He's in heaven, listening to us, rocking out, I'm sure.
I love
But
that. Thank
great
you.
embodiment of Terry community at that group
Sure.
at UT Dallas in particular.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that he was somebody who poured himself into building the community there. So thank you for that.
And I got to echo that, Amber, because I've been to several picnics at South Fork with the UTD Terry Scholars, and obviously I went to UNT, and even in the last couple years, I have also noticed that a very, very strong community at UTD. So
I think it's a testament to the quality of everybody that's a part of that group. But yeah, y'all have just really built something special there. So we're so glad that we got to hear you guys this evening, and hopefully this won't be the last time. Best of luck with your stream later. If y'all are watching, make sure that y'all hop over and show them some support as well. So thank you, Los Loud Boys.
I love it.
All right.
Y'all have a good weekend. Thank you so much.
Bye guys.
thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye-bye.
Well, Amber, it looks like Elianna has made a ton of progress
She
in this
did.
short amount of time. I'm like just trying to think about what it looked like before. There was like no green.
Yeah.
The guy, his shirt wasn't done.
The amount of detail
This
in the
is
clothes
awesome.
is really cool.
Yeah.
So,
And I saw like all the different tools she was using too. I don't know. Are you unmuted, Elianna? Or just like the brush. It almost looked like a makeup brush that you were using to
yeah.
like blend some things.
It
It was
is
really
a
cool.
makeup brush.
I love it.
Not a very good one, but
I love the amount of detail and texture that you were able to get in their clothes. I mean, even from the distance that the camera is from the painting,
Yeah.
and then through the screen even, it's amazing the detail that you've gotten in there.
I'm glad you enjoy it. I actually have some of the horse ones I did previously lying around that are much more interesting to look at.
Yeah, if you want to show them, we'd
Yeah,
be happy
I'd
to
love to
see
see 'em.
them. We'd love to see them. So
Yeah.
how complete would you say that one is that you just were working on?
Oh man, maybe 60%. Because
I
I'll be going back through there and reworking a lot of that.
Yeah, I would have guessed like 95.
Yeah,
so
see, that just goes to show the limits to my artistic
Yeah,
talent, because I would have looked
exactly.
at that and thought it was finished.
I know nothing about actually painting and art.
Well, like you were saying earlier this evening, it's not so much even about talent so much as it about just, I've been doing this for a very long time.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's awesome.
We're getting like a little bit of a glare at the top of the canvas
I'm
from
gonna
the
turn
overhead
this over.
light.
Yeah, there is no other light in here,
Yeah.
sadly. I don't have
Yeah, but
natural
there's
light to go off of.
just the amount of detail in that is amazing. So
Well,
how-
and that's what's crazy. I was going to say about like looking at some of the pictures that you had sent Amber of some other things that you did. It's like a variety between things that are very realistic and then things that are a little bit more, I guess you would say, unrealistic or abstract or however.
Let me turn my camera around here.
the one with was it a fawn, I guess, sort of like the deconstruction. That one was really cool.
I did that one while that was one of my I'm watching TV pieces.
That's the kind of art that I have around my house, so that resonated with me.
Have you been painting a lot as a respite from the craziness of the pandemic, or do you do other things to keep yourself sane?
Yeah, I would say I'm painting like a lot more. The only thing is that I usually kind of have a little bit of a time limit. I can complete a piece very quickly, but I kind of force myself to stretch it out a little more, because I find that when I give myself more time, the results are better. You get more detail and more, just thought put into a piece.
Yeah.
So it's like a time limit to like spend more time on it, not like to limit the amount of time you spend. Okay.
Right. I try to spend at least 3 or 4 days on a big piece.
So like the one that we just saw with the horse, how long did that take you?
I wasn't very good about that one, so maybe 2 or 3 days.
Still, that's just still so impressive.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
especially getting up close and seeing all of the different colors like incorporated into its coat. That's awesome.
Yeah.
This one is really one that I like very much, but
is there anything that you're just like dying to paint next?
Oh man, yeah, I'd love to do like a really big, colorful mural of some sort. I've been doing these almost, wouldn't say photorealistic, but realism for sure. Like the semi that I sent you, Amber.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just so much fun to do. So.
And are all of those?
But oh well.
So I think I've seen a handful of those on your Instagram account too. So the foundation follows you. The other thing I noticed, and this is something that our person from last week did. Have you done some spray paint art as well?
Yeah. Yes, I'm not very good at it, but yeah.
I don't know. I've seen some of the finished products. I think those look pretty awesome. It always fascinates me whenever people are able to do things like that, and then you're able to walk away from it knowing that somebody's going to come. Like it's not going to stay there for very long.
Well, I think that's part of the magic of it. It's always like, I love going back down there and seeing what people have done with it. Like sometimes it's just gone completely, and then sometimes somebody paints a booger or like a mustache.
It's always a surprise. It's always transforming.
Yes,
awesome.
you never know. But I like when I first started there at Fabrication Yard there in Dallas, anybody can go. It's a legal graffiti yard, and I recommend it. But when I first started, like my stuff would go within the day, probably. And as I improved, they started lasting a week to a couple of weeks, which is like the better it is, the longer they leave it up. So I was like,
oh, that's cool.
I guess some of them
some validation for you.
Here.
Yeah.
So I have a long way to go.
So looking at some of the pictures that you sent, Amber, the semi truck and the deer, are those digital, or those didn't look like they were on a canvas, or were they on a canvas?
So the deer is digital, and the semi truck is on a wall. That is a mural.
Oh, that's a mural. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
I tried
It's
pulling
about
up
8-10 feet, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I tried pulling up a larger shot of it so people could see it on the stream.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on my phone, and I love the horses that are on the side. It seems like you do a lot of horses.
I love horses. It's a weakness of mine.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for spending the evening with us and sharing your amazing talent with us. I'm super impressed. I mean, and the piece you were working on this evening, like Blaine and I were saying, like I would have thought it was finished. If that's 60%, I can't wait to see what 100% looks like.
Yeah, that's really cool. Is there any way? Is there any way, if somebody wanted to commission something from you, how would they do that?
Just look me up on Instagram and message me. So it's under my name.
Cool.
All right, awesome. Well, yeah, y'all should definitely check out her Insta. She's got some great stuff on there. Thank you again for joining us this evening. And
thank you.
If you ever want to come back on and do another piece on another stream, we'd be happy to have you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me know if you need me.
Will do.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was really great to watch you work. It was really interesting.
And did you see her puppy made an appearance too?
I did, yeah. I did see the puppy. Was that during the last song?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, well,
thank you.
Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Okay, bye.
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 And then there were two.
This was another really great, a really great evening. I loved having a writer on.
Mm-hmm.
I loved hearing the music that Alan and the Los Loud Boys gave us. I mean, I don't know. I love this community. Again, I know we said it a couple weeks ago, but it's just like such a breath of fresh air to spend, an hour and a half, probably almost 2 hours again.
Yeah.
An hour and a half this time.
I need to quit saying it's going to be over at 8. It's not.
Not going to be over at 8. It's just like when you get talking to people, it's just, it's so cool to learn about what people are doing and what people are doing with their art and how they're sharing it with the world. And I don't know, I need it after the craziness of what's going on in the world and just in general, life in general. So it's been a lot of fun doing this.
Yeah, and I just, I am never short on experiences that inspire me when it comes to interacting with Terry scholars, but we don't often get to see this element of it. I mean, we get to hear from people at banquets, we get to interact with them at interviews, and then of course we get to hear those senior speeches, but it's not like we get to see people perform and exhibit their, the things that they have a passion for when it comes to the arts. And so I really appreciate the ability to do this, and I hope that it's something that we'll be able to keep doing, because I know we have a ton of talented Terrys out there, and I just think it's great that the community gets to just see and recognize those with artistic abilities as well, because again, we don't get to showcase it that often. And
I agree, and it's just not. It's also not you would never be in a position where you could see multiple performances at one time, because maybe you do go to a friend, you have a Terry scholar that's a fellow Terry scholar that's a friend of yours, and you go to their choir performance or their orchestra performance or their theater show, but there's this such a broader community of more and more people that are just really making a big difference, whether they know it or not. I mean,
Right.
making a big difference, but just by sharing themselves through art.
Yeah, being vulnerable and sharing those pieces of themselves. And I certainly learned something each time we've done one of these streams, just on how this self-expression extends to just general life lessons as well, not just for those that are, that are in music or that are in art. So the other thing that's awesome about it too is we have people from different schools. It's not, even if we went to a Terry event at one school where maybe somebody was showcasing their talent, it's not the same as, getting to have this smattering of representation from different campuses. So for those of you that are interested in coming on the Terry Talent Show, we'd love to have you. We have our virtual content group in Terry Connect. You're welcome to make a post there. We're doing some outreach to people that we're aware of or people that we've already spoken to, but we know that that's not everyone that's out there. So if you have a suggestion for somebody we should reach out to that's a Terry scholar, or if you as a Terry would like to volunteer to be on this talent show, make sure that you head into Terry Connect and let us know in that virtual content group so we can chat with you and help get another stream set up.
Yeah, for sure. We're hoping to have another one in about 2 weeks, so around May 23rd. So
Right.
we'd love to hear from anybody who wants to jump on and share whatever. I mean, writing, music, theater, art, painting, whatever it is.
Even if there's something we're not thinking of, like, let us know, or let us know what you'd like to see too.
And you know what I'd love to see? I'd love to see if there are any Terry seniors who didn't get to perform something. If there's anybody who wants to share something they were maybe working on before school was shut down for the semester.
Right. If you had a senior performance, if you had a part in a play that you've been working really hard on and you want to share some of your favorite lines with us, I mean, I feel like the possibilities are endless, but Blaine's right, especially if you want another audience for something that you spent your semester working on or your year working on. We'd love to be able to showcase it because we're just so proud of all of you. And that's one of the great things about this community is there's people in every major imaginable, and there's also people in every major imaginable that also have some of these talents on the side that they want to share too. So
yeah, for sure.
Well, Blaine, as always, it was a pleasure. Thank you for spending the evening. Say hi to the family for us. And
I will. It was great seeing you again. I hope to do it again in a couple weeks.
Right. All right. Well, take care. Have a great rest of your weekend. Say hi to Sarah and Margot for us. And for everybody watching, thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.